Michelle.
Yes, we are.
Oh, okay.
I think I have to go into Zoom to change it.
All right. Looks like we have everybody we need here. All right, let's get started for the regular board meeting, board of directors for this 1 February. Can we start off with Pledge of Allegiance? And Matt, since you're only going to be with us so long.
Do my honor. Ready, salutes. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty for all.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you. And roll call. We have Director Deaver. Bill, you with us? Doing the roll call.
My chair was making some noise here.
All right, I'll take that as a present. Director Coleman.
Here.
Director Morgan.
Here.
Director Balentine.
Here.
And Director Barney is present. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
Deaver motion.
And how about a second?
I second it.
And for the motion to approve the agenda as presented, roll call vote. Director Deaver.
Aye.
Director Coleman.
Aye.
Director Morgan.
Aye.
Director Balentine.
Aye.
And Director Barney is aye. I had that one on. Oh, okay. All of them on now. Okay, and community announcements. Are there any community announcements from anyone? Do we have anyone dialed in other than Scott and Bill?
Yeah, there's a couple of questions.
This is a
Looks like staff. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Anybody look like they're raising their hands for a community announcement?
No, and they have the option to unmute their mic as well.
Great. And any community announcements from anyone present in the room? Board members? Nope. Okay. Then on to the consent agenda. Are there any members of the public that have any objections to approving the items on the consent agenda? Any directors object? All right, motion to approve the consent agenda. Anybody?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda, both items A and B.
Is there a second?
Second, Coleman.
Okay, roll call vote for approving the consent agenda. Director Deaver.
Aye.
Director Coleman.
Aye.
Director Morgan.
Aye.
Director Balentine.
Aye.
And Director Barney is aye. Consent agenda is approved. On to the action items. The resolution approving an amended budget for fiscal year commencing 1 July 2021.
Good afternoon. This is, as I'd mentioned when I did the financials last month, that we were going to come back with a mid-year budget update. We didn't make any significant changes to the budget, but wanted to bring it back with the minor changes we did make. As of the end of December, our operating revenue is at 56%, so we're above where we kind of projected we were going to be at. Our operating expenses are at 48%. Some of the changes or adjustments we had made is we had increased supplies due to some of the cleaning supplies because of COVID. Gym wipes and different things around the office had to be increased due to cleaning. Repairs and maintenance increased. We had several water breaks, as you guys all know. That had
I had a question about the supplies. Was there something that the county, I think it was maybe the state, that reimbursed you for those expenses?
Yes, we did get some back at the beginning of the year, and that went into on the revenue side, so it doesn't, it doesn't take away from our expenses. We got 46,000 back, but that was some of the payroll as well.
Okay,
Yeah.
but that's all ended. We can't see
At this point, yeah, they might open up something new, but that grant that was open had ended for us.
All right.
That was through Kern County. The other one was travel. We brought that actually down just due to COVID. Nobody's really traveled or training. A lot of things have been canceled this year. And communications we brought down as well due to the actual expenses on year to date. Marketing at this point, we were well under budget, but we left it at the same amount just due to the name change, and we'll be making some changes on the marketing side. So we're just asking for you to approve the mid-year update. If you have any questions.
Thank you. Any questions from the board?
No, I'm good with it. That was it. What Lynn says.
Yeah.
Okay. All motion to approve it.
Nope. Well, just as long as we have an opportunity for members of the public.
Well,
Yep,
okay,
yep,
however you want to do it.
Yep.
Yeah. I
Just-
need to get a first, a second,
Mhm.
open it up for any discussion, and then call. But
Right.
however you want to do it.
So, any comment from members of the public? Mostly looking to you,
Yep.
Carrie, because
Yep.
I cannot.
Nope.
I don't know
There's
what that
nothing
looks
in
like up
chat.
here.
There's nothing in chat. Nobody's coming unmuted.
Okay. All right. So do I hear a motion to approve?
Make a motion.
Mm-hmm. And is there a second?
Second, Deaver.
Okay, roll call vote. Director Deaver,
Aye.
Director Coleman,
Aye.
Director Morgan,
Aye.
Director Balentine,
Aye.
and Director Barney is aye. Motion approves. And on to the reports. So for the financials,
That's me.
feels like an
Yes,
extension
yeah,
of
it's
what
an
we just
extension.
heard.
It's pretty much the same. But on this, the treasurer's report, the bank balance increased 150,000 due to the fuel sales in the previous month. November was a great month for us, so the revenue or the cash started to come in for those fuel sales. Fuel sales for December were at 52,000 gallons. That was down just due to weather and the holidays that were in that month. AR, no new accounts to report over 90 days. And the fitness center has 591 members right now.
Mr. Coleman, what percentage is jet fuel versus avgas? Do you have that handy? I'm just curious how, I mean, jet fuel is the big.
Not a percentage, but on,
Okay. Oh,
like, so Jet A, we sold 50,000 gallons
Okay.
of Jet A, and 2,000 gallons of it was avgas.
okay, so
Yeah, it,
25-to-1 ratio
Yeah.
on that.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? No? All right, security.
All right, good afternoon. This update is for the period of December 26th to January 25th. Conducted a total of 4,163 checks. Responded to 39 building alarms. Found and secured 23 unlocked or unsecured doors. So that number has been down quite a bit over the last few months. Been working really hard with the tenants to make sure that they secure the doors that we continuously find open. We patrolled a total of 4,490 miles, granted 65 access cards, and during this time had no request for law enforcement. Any questions from the board?
I have a question. Last year sometime they were talking about new ID cards. Mine's expired. Not that it means anything, but what's happening with that?
So we just did in the past couple of days receive our new badge printer and are working on updating the templates. But at any time, feel free to come in and we can update your current ID card.
Okay, there's no big hurry on it, but
No, sir.
thank you.
Anything else?
Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
And a fire update.
Good afternoon. For the fire department, we've just had, just the other week, we had fire ace technician come through, Tim Hobbs, and he was here for a few days, and he went through all the fire extinguishers, giving them their annual maintenance and their checks. So those are good. For the fire trucks, the T3000s, we have received the quote to do a no foam testing. No foam testing is, I think I touched on it before, is what's required for the fire trucks to do to show that they are capable of pumping foam at the correct percentages. These trucks have not been no foam tested with this system, and we have the quote now for that system to move forward with that. T3000s were already tested for the dry chemical systems. All three of the trucks, although only two of the trucks are set up fully with the system, we are capable to set up the third truck so that all the trucks will be able to pump foam and dry chemical as required. For statistics, it covers a period of 1 January to 26 January. We had approximately 35 fire checks, 6 fire safety inspections. We did not have any fire extinguisher training this time. A lot of it was due to the way the weather has been for the last few months. But right now, I have Mass and Space Company. They want to schedule some fire extinguisher training with us, and we're going to accommodate. We've had several responses. 5 of those are your standard hot refuels. We had 1 in-flight emergency with experimental, it was an unsafe landing gear. That was concluded without incident. We also had Test Site 17, which ended up being a mutual aid response with Kern County for a fire out there on the site. We did do some public education training. That was Station 14 that came on to the installation, came to the fire department, and we both did familiarization with procedures and with the equipment that we have on our trucks. And we're about to do some more training with them at Test Site 10, 11, and 12 here coming up very shortly. In fact, next week. No burn permits were issued at that particular period. And we got 2 aircraft checkouts in. I believe they were both helicopters. And we're trying to get the helicopter that's after operating right now. And we did get 1 firefighter down to San Bernardino Regional Training Center to do his annual live fire training. I have 1 more firefighter that's needed, and that will cover us for up until the end of the year to November. It's our live fire training for the firefighters. It's our basic firefighting training. We do live fire training down there at San Bernardino.
I wanted to make sure it was fire, not fire.
Oh, no, no, fire.
I hear live fire and I think blowing stuff up, so I had questions.
No, it's our actual live fire training.
Since I've interrupted you,
Yes, sir.
how do you dispense the foam? And I guess the reason I'm asking this is normally when you think of the fire trucks, you think of the big mist spraying it out.
Yes, sir.
But at one time we had a vehicle that had a probe that penetrated the fuselage.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Is that still a practice?
No, we don't have that vehicle with the penetrating nozzle, but we still yet can penetrate to the skin of aircraft because we have nozzles that we connect to our hand lines, to the hoses from our trucks, and we would drive them into the skin of the aircraft.
Okay.
By hand?
Yes, ma'am. It takes that and a sledgehammer and someone that you trust to swing it correctly so that you don't do the Three Stooges thing, somebody get hit in the head or in the
I
forearm.
was under the impression our old truck, it was something that was mounted to it, and you drove the vehicle up to it?
It's called, yes, sir, it's called a snozzle, but that's, we don't have that type of truck now. You don't have that type of truck. But we still have the capability because we still can pierce the skin of an aircraft. It's just we don't have the capability of doing it from the cab of the truck with the arm going out to do it. Still have the capability.
Isn't that from the cab of the truck with the arm sometimes a little safer than trying to walk up to the burning airplane?
Well, 100% it would be safer, but we have to use what we have as far as the trucks. There are some negatives to the snozzles in that it makes the trucks a little bit top heavy. All the trucks, the newer trucks, they have it's an alarm that's on the dash. So when the driver's driving around, he knows that the truck can only tilt so much and the alarm starts going to have him to ease up on it. But if you look in some of the safety reports with firefighters, quite a few trucks, they go out and they end up turning over. It's just one of those things. It's a hazard of the job, which is why we have to do a lot of training with our drivers to ensure that the drivers are always fully in control of the trucks. People are under the impression that we respond as fast as we can to incidents. We respond as fast as we can safely to get to the incidents.
Is that caused by water movement?
A lot of it is caused by the water, although the trucks, tanks have baffles, they have walls inside to try to compartmentalize the water, but still yet, those are big trucks, they're carrying a lot of water, it's a lot of weight. And
right.
If you're going a certain speed, take a tight turn, and it goes, once the truck starts going, it's going to most likely go over. So we do a lot with driving our trucks all the time to make sure that we're operating them safely so that we don't go beyond the limit and actually end up with an incident where we turn a truck over. Very common in the ARF, maybe not so much on the structural side.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
So I had also had questions on the T3000. I think you called it a no foam test.
Yes, ma'am.
Was that it? So is that a test where, no kidding, you're going to be spraying foam with the trucks? You alluded to a device or a system.
Yes, ma'am. And that's a very good question. The no foam system is like say it's podium. It's like it's a machine. And what happens is the actual foam tank on the trucks are bypassed. We're able to get the readings to show how much water compared to foam that's actually flowing. And there's calculations that's made to tell us that the true correct percentage is being done without spraying any foam, because now we cannot spray foam unless we're actually, and not even in training, we actually have to be in an emergency situation, actually put out a fire. The no foam system allows us to properly and completely test the trucks acceptably and know that that system is functioning properly. Now they may also put a dye. It's another tank. It's what they're actually pulling from, and they may put a dye in that tank. And when you pump the water, you're just pumping water. It's not anything that would be a hazard to the environment as we're pumping foam. Even if we pump foam on the wash rack, we're still pumping foam, and we're not allowed to pump foam like that anymore.
Listen, why do we not want to pump foam?
We have these, the foam doesn't go away pretty much. EPA has become a major, not just here in California, but across the United States. We no longer can pump foam because it's illegal for us to pump foam unless we're actually pumping at a fire. Years ago, we always pump foam, or at least we pump foam annually, once a year, to make sure our systems work correctly, because you have to engage the pump system and it has to actuate for you to know that it's going to work. Once we were not allowed to pump foam anymore, we had to find other ways to be able to actuate that system. And this no foam system allows us to fully test the trucks, which is acceptable by the FAA, and to ensure that the system is going to work without pumping foam. Now, another may not be as important, but I know it's important. Another thing is foam is expensive. It's extremely expensive. And when we're out there pumping foam, you have to replace it. And so it cuts down the cost of using up foam for us doing training or testing the trucks out. Good system, you pay for the system up front. The trucks get plumed or get piped for that system. And after that, the trucks are good. Then the annual test is very easy to do. And you do it annually, you get your readings, and you record the information, you maintain the readings. Before it became such a good, smart system, we would merely bypass the foam system. We had foam in a tank. We pumped it. If it was green or blue or whatever color it was, the dye that you had, we gave a thumbs up and it was good. It wasn't the best way because we had no way to know that the vehicle is actually pumping at the correct percentage that it should have been pumping at. And this is what the company is going to do for us. They're going to ensure that all of our trucks are properly pumping the foam. If we have an incident here where we have to use those trucks, we'll be confident, 100% confident, that the trucks will perform the way they're supposed to perform.
One quick, does the foam in the tanks have an expiration date?
Well, that's a good question.
10 years?
That's a good question. There's an expiration date for them, but there's a lot of things that's going on right now as far as foam. There's different types of foams, and you have foams that have these long molecule chains to them. And a lot of them, they're the longer ones are the kind that cause cancer. They don't go away in the environment. Once you put them out there, or once us firefighters get it in our clothes, no matter how much we wash our gear, those long chains, they stay in our gear. And they're coming up with better foams that are more environmentally friendly or people friendly. But they're expensive foams, and DOD is changing over. It's a big thing that's going right now with the foam, and it's going to affect a lot of different systems. It will affect the suppression systems in buildings, but it's a thing that's going. it's something we will have to deal with. But what we have right now, we're good. But it is something that over time we will have to deal with.
I think we interrupted you. Did you have more to?
Oh, no, ma'am. That was it. That was, unless there's more questions.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Out by the rocket test sites, do you have the ability to refill, or, excuse me, or pump water at all, like for grass fires, things like that, other than like foam?
No, we for grass fires, we would not use the foam out there. But as far as us being able to have the ability to continually pump water, if we had a grass fire or a large grass fire, we have the T1000 Amertech that we use. And we would depend on, or we would require a county response with their vehicles to come out there to connect into us to keep us being able to continue to pump water. There are not many sources out there for us to be able to connect into. And it depends on where a fire is, that's where you are to fight the fires. The best way to deal with the wildland fires while the wind is down is for us to be able to immediately get out there when it starts. Catch them in its incipient stage when it first starts. We are much more capable, and any wildland firefighters are much more capable to deal with fires when they're their smallest, when they're very small. If a fire is burning, say, middle of the night and it goes unnoticed, and you have the winds out here that whip them up and they get really big, that's when you have your really big major responses for wildland fires. We've had quite a few here, not a lot, but we've had some. And we've always been able to get out there because the sites have called us right away, or the tower has visual and they see it, and we're out there right away. So we've been very successful, and we have not, for the wildland fires, needed to have a county response to help us because we're able to get there right away.
Or replenish locally?
Or even to replenish. We're able to.
That was my question was, there's infrastructure, obviously, for water out there, but I don't know how much was something you could draw upon, like to refill the truck and dump another load on a grass fire or something, or would you have to call?
We've never had to have it happen where we have them that was bad enough. Yes.
Is there a hydrant out there?
There is a hydrant out there, but again, that would be disengaging from the fire that you're fighting to go to refill for the amount of time that takes, and then to go back.
Disengaged anyway.
Yes.
So my thought was, would you be coming back here or waiting for?
No, we would be able to be on the other side.
Okay.
And Mojave does have an asset water truck. They do have that asset that when we respond, they're normally out there also.
And is it something that is adequate? Like if you had to drive to that fill up, is it something that's practical that you could do it within, I don't know, whatever you think is reasonable, 30 minutes or so? Or is this something where the flow is so low that it's a nice gesture, but it's not really going to make a difference? Do we have the kind of infrastructure where have you ever tested it?
We've never tested it. Yes, we have not had the need to test it.
To try to refill a truck with water or something.
Yes, and that's kind of a little bit of what the training is that we're going to be doing with Station 14 and any other of the Kern County assets, is for us to see how we can work together and how we can capitalize on this, being to work together a little bit better, so that when things like that come up, we have a plan in place so we work together a little bit smoother.
So most likely you just call for reinforcements, right?
Yes.
A truck that's full
That's a
to
good
come
question.
back you up.
Because I know we have a major water run going out to put it in.
Yes, there is a hydrant out there.
It should be, hey, let's don't hook up and realize, well, we're not going.
Yeah, there's a hydrant out there.
We've done a hydrant flow.
Okay.
It's adequate. I could not tell you off the top of my head, but it's between 450 500 gallons per minute, which is typical of a 4.5 inch hose. But it's performing that.
Okay.
The short downfall is that we just don't have enough of that. But there are two locations, one at the J stem, which is off the approach into 1-2, and then the hydrant that the chief is referring to is over in proximity to Virgin Orbit.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Very interesting discussion. Like I said, to know we'd be focusing on fire today, but thank you for humoring all the questions.
Thank you.
Yeah, so for Site 17, you mentioned it was a mutual aid response house with trucks from everywhere. Do we have a mutual aid agreement? Or
Yes, we do.
We do.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and we're looking at not just from that incident, but that incident. We're going to do quite a bit more training with Kern County. And Tuesday, we'll be starting doing some training with them. And it's to help both of us to have better situational awareness with the test sites and how we can work better together.
Great. Glad to hear it. Anybody else?
Thanks.
Bill, you got anything?
No, that's good. Thanks. Very helpful.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And facilities.
Afternoon. And to tag just something on the what the chief was discussing, that one of the reasons we no longer are permitted to intentionally flow foam is foams containing fluorine were outlawed January 1st, 2022. So we no longer are permitted to discharge them. So that's another reason for the no foam testing.
Unless it's an actual.
So yeah, if you have existing non-conforming foam systems like are in some of the hangars, they're allowed to stay that way for now. I think there is a sunset on that coming. I couldn't give you that date off the top of my head, but they're allowed to stay that way. And if you have an event, it's going to discharge. But from that point on, you cannot refill with 3% AFFF. So that's another reason we do the no foam testing. So good afternoon. As far as facility report, the hangars, which I did state in my report, were nearing completion. At the time that I wrote that, they were, but they're gone. I did a job walk this morning with the contractor. There's a couple of punch list items. They're going to do some pressure washing out there and clean up the ground and the taxiway a little better than they did, and address some of the spalling that was underneath the hangars and remove some of the anchor bolts that were left a little high. So that work should be completed in the next couple of days. And other than that, the taxiway is open. We FOD checked it this morning and back to as normal as possible. I would like to thank, which I did not really put on my report, but on one item staff did complete some cabling and conduit work for our Scada Upgrade, and I'd like to thank Logan Altman and Elijah Salvione from maintenance for doing that work. It was an unforeseen item that could have cost the district several tens of thousands of dollars, and we were able to do that work in-house, so I'm very grateful to them, and they deserve recognition for that.
What kind of upgrade?
Well, it's for the Scada Upgrade that IT and facilities are working on, but there was some physical conduit and wiring work that was kind of unforeseen that the staff was able to do in-house.
Hey, Floyd, you might want to describe the SCADA system and what that's all about.
I'll do my best to impersonate Jason here. Well, SCADA is that is the control and monitoring system that Jason and myself use. Security uses. It's the interface that controls the pumps. So it's essentially remote control.
Yeah, Mojave Public Utility District has the same kind of system.
Right. Yeah, they monitor their well sites and their infrastructure with it. So we've had SCADA for a number of years, but we're in the process of upgrading the functionality and expanding on it a bit. In addition to that, so the runway 1230 rehabilitation project, the advertisement for bids went out on January 20th. We held the job walk on the 27th. We had 3 contractors participate in that. And we will be holding a bid opening on the 15th in the Corsair conference room. So I would expect we would have a bid tabulation for the March meeting. Other than that, just minor things that the GA restroom is kind of ongoing. We've had some hot topics, pardon the pun, that Chief mentioned, and some other issues that have come up, water leaks and such that have kind of drawn us away, but we are making progress on it. We continue to work on it. We're aiming to get that completed before the end of February. So other than that, unless you have any questions about any of the report items or anything else.
So for the bidding on the 1230, is that just for one phase, the first phase, or is that for the whole thing?
The whole enchilada. Yeah. Correct.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Matt, what have you got for us for ops?
Madam Chair, members of the board, Good afternoon. Director and CEO Jim Linder is going to talk about this more too, but we did have a testing anomaly that occurred, as you all know, last week and a half ago. And I'd like to give a shout out to, it touches on many people. It touches on maintenance, touches on facilities, touches on ARF, security, everybody here. So I think, even though we're not a perfect system here, I think everyone did a really good job in responding to it. It could have been a lot worse. Even the calls we fielded from national outlets, NBC, CBS, ABC called the front office, the desk there, and Nicole did a good job on deferring any of those calls and directed them to the appropriate people to answer. We did a post-mortem on that, and I think Tyler will talk about that more to follow, but obviously with no exercise comes a process where there are no inaccuracies or deficiencies. So we are learning as we go on, as we evolve. The test, the anomaly, they even don't know what it is too. So it could be anything. Could have been something as unusual as someone smoking a cigarette out there, unlikely, to something else more obvious. So enough of that there. As Floyd mentioned, the GA hanger removal is done. It was done ahead of time. The 927 hanger is still up, so we made sure that wasn't raised for obvious reasons. And then Do the Math is an outreach program. It's been on for 20 years with Kern County, with the Bakersfield School District, and 11 scenes were filmed here. And if you want to see an operation where gloves were involved, prompt starting on TV, you can ask Chair Barney about that. But I think it did very well, and we had some good feedback on that. So thanks for that. And then lastly, I'd like to present to you. I think many of you have seen the video that'll be put on our website. This is from the feedback of several of our tenants, feedback from employees, feedback from board members, and what we try to do is incorporate as much of what we do here looking forward with balancing general aviation. We had a designer named Chad Belay who put this video together. It took about 3.5 months to do, and he probably made about 4 or 5 early morning visits with a drone and coordinated many times with our tenants such as Strato and Scaled and some of the test sites out there. So I'll show this to you here, and I'll plug it in. And again, we had to compact a lot of information in just 2 minutes as well. So here we go.
December 1903, Orville and Wilbur Wright flew the world's first...
Let's do screen share there. Stand by. What did we do earlier? I can't see it from here.
My screen keeps saying pinch out for a bigger picture.
Yeah. Chris?
Matt, can I take this opportunity to ask you a question about what you just briefed us on? You said you were doing a post-mortem of the incident. I assume that's like a lessons learned amongst the staff. Mm-hmm. Did you include the tenant that was at the rocket site? They're obviously really busy, but I think they would, you need some outside perspective on feedback on how you guys responded. Are they included? And if not, I would assume you would.
That's a great question. We did not. We obviously reached out to them to let them know what we could have done better, but we thought it was more timely just to see how we did in-house, and then with that information, meet with the test site.
So from my experience as a previous employee of a tenant years ago and some incidents, there was a lot of criticism of the way some things were handled. Mm-hmm. And, I think it would be welcome feedback.
Yes, sir.
I don't know of anything that was done
I agree.
with any issues, but
right.
we all have limited self-awareness, and it's always good to get the customer who you were, you know, helping to say, hey, it was great. It was, you know, here's where outside feedback. So
Yeah.
I couldn't say sense.
You were exactly right.
Yep, definitely.
And
Okay.
one more.
Yep.
Was it a scheduled test or was it just a random act that happened?
Scheduled.
It was scheduled, and so they had a problem during the test. Okay.
As rocket student.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, here we go with the 2-minute video here. Thank you, Chris.
In December 1903, Orville and Wilbur Wright flew the world's first motor-driven airplane. Their success on that day was brought to them by failures. A great deal of failures. Nestled in the upper Mojave Desert, just 90 miles northeast of Los Angeles, the Mojave Air and Spaceport has advanced the aviation and aerospace industry for the past 50 years, offering our tenants the seclusion and freedom to evolve as far as their imagination will take them. Free from bureaucratic red tape, the 3,300-acre facility is a research testing mecca platform that is unlike any test facility campus in the world. Home to more than 100 tenants, engaged in everything from general aviation, flight test research and development, light industrial to heavily advanced aerospace design, to heavy rail industrial manufacturing, resides within our complex. With a customer service approach to supporting your mission, we will ensure those endeavors are accomplished. Operating inside the 20,000 square mile R2508 airspace offers our tenants a massive arena to expand their wildest imaginations. With the Federal Aviation Administration approval, Myriad Aerospace, and a renowned reputation of support, critical regulatory barriers have been shattered, so you can execute your dreams.
Welcome to the club, astronaut.
Our 12,500-foot runway accommodates any aircraft imaginable. 20 rocket pads are ready for immediate motor testing. If you can imagine it, you can test it here. With a proud legacy and a bright future, the spirit of aviation is thriving at Mojave Air and Spaceport. Whether it's testing the next space launch campaign, the next cutting-edge technology for fixed-wing aircrafts, unmanned aircraft, or even dropping in from altitude for a splash of gas and a tasty meal at the Voyager Cafe, we're awaiting your arrival.
A bunch of explosion videos coming up right after that statement. You know, you're free to make mistakes and then just show, you know, big good ones.
Yeah, good ones. Yeah.
So, while we're on the subject, I'd just like to say that I saw 2 more videos since the last meeting of big activities that took place here and were said during the program only that it happened in the Mojave Desert. Didn't say anything about the Mojave Air and Spaceport. Virgin was one, and Stratolaunch was the other one. That's excluding Allison Gatlin, who does an outstanding job of giving us credit for stuff that happens here.
And Todd took the draft, the non-final episode, or what I'm trying to say, spit it out, Matt. The draft version to the conference was well received there. So thank you. That's it from our report. If there aren't any questions.
No, I was just going to say that the unofficial motto at Scale years ago when Kevin Mickey was at the helm was hurry up and screw it up so you can fix it. You know, it's right. The prototype iteration mentality.
Yeah.
Use your imagination on what the actual verbiage was.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you, Matt.
Good.
I'll make a little comment just to correct some numbers. It should be 3,362 acres.
Okay. Oh, it is 3,362 acres.
That's right. And growing, too.
Right.
Yeah.
And growing.
What Jim is referring to is the fact we purchased that 62 acres just north of the airfield.
Yeah. It isn't within our fence line, but it is our property.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I mean,
good point.
Yeah. Details.
That's a great point. I need to update that in my
60
slides.
Yeah. plus.
That 62 acres is really going to sell it to anybody. We weren't going to
No,
they weren't going to
I have heard 3,300 acres forever, and then we've owned that property for 3 years, 4 years. And I was looking at something on our website that talked about it. Thinking, well, we ought to include that.
Good point. Thanks for bringing that up.
For this particular reason.
We also just closed on a 10-acre purchase on the northeast corner.
I said 3,372 acres, didn't I?
That's right.
What I heard.
Cross that out real quick.
Kind of already admitted to one screw up, okay?
Those were metric acres. So it was correct.
Hector Pascal's.
Yeah.
All right.
That's cool enough. Whatever gives us the biggest number.
Well, thank you, Matt. Todd?
All right. Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. Thank you for having us today. Speaking of failures, test site 17, as everybody's already alluded to, had an anomaly. The response was good. To Director Morgan's point, I agree with him completely. What we have done is we've requested a report from the folks at the company who leases the site, and our plan is to do a lessons learned with them during that same time that will include not only us and them, but we'll also be bringing in some of the battalion chiefs over here that day as well. So I agree with you 100%. A lot of times it's not what you see internally is not necessarily what's being seen externally, and that's very important feedback to get. I agree completely. As a result of that accident, one of the things that we have moved forward with doing is, and one of the things that I've never felt extremely comfortable about, is the fact that we occasionally have testing here, people that we test after hours or on the weekends with no one here. With that, considering the circumstances, we've moved forward to making sure that we have a firefighter here anytime there is a test that is going on. Because in the event of an accident, they can activate our emergency response program, emergency response plan, and see the firefighters in here, organize the thing, contact the people that need to be contacted. The item we used for emergency response, which Mr. Chris Bandor brought to my attention after I first started working here, is something called the Red Book. You'll see the Red Book in my office. I carry it with me on the weekends. It's something that we all have with us at all times, because in any event of emergency, we know how to respond to these things. I know my role pretty much by heart for each different response side. I pretty much don't have to worry about myself, but I have to manage the other folks typically in a situation. So when this occurred on that given day, fortunately, I was able to know where to go, what to do, and it just so happened our Madam Chair happened to be on site to assist as well. But that was very knowing, and it was very clear that we had an emergency response protocol that was being put in place. So that is good. FAR Part 420, and also in accordance with Part 420 and Part 450, I have submitted a mishap plan to the Federal Aviation Administration, considering the fact that it was not a vehicle that was involved. NTSB did not want to be contacted. However, when we do receive the final report from the test site operator, we will submit that report to FAA Commercial Space that will go into the file along with our information. Our information will only be filed and used for informational purposes only. It's not something that's going to be held against us, or it's not something that's going to be used against us in that way. FAR Part 420.55. So in our license application, one of the things that we were required to do is we were required to schedule operations as they occur on runway 1230 as it relates to horizontal launch operations. As many of you know, a couple weeks ago, we had a situation where we had Strata Launch and Virgin Orbit trying to conduct an operation on the same day, one being initiated and underway while the other test operation, or while the other launch operation entered hazardous operations. We did not agree with that. Virgin Orbit had agreed to pursue a waiver from FAA in order that they could initiate hazardous operations while the folks from Strata was conducting their operation. And if that would not work or could not occur, Virgin had agreed to stand down until Strata Launch had completed their operation. 420.55 has a very distinct requirement that the Spaceport has to have a scheduling mechanism, scheduling protocol format in place. We do. FAA did not see it that way. Therefore, we received a letter of the potential of operating in non-compliance. They've asked for corrective action. We've provided them corrective action within the last week. The deadline actually was today. We provided it to them actually yesterday morning. They agreed with our new procedures and asked us to communicate that to the folks at the Virgin Orbit, Virgin Galactic, and folks at Strata Launch, which we will be doing tomorrow. And it'll be a closed door after that point. Utilities, we continue having issues with our utilities and the water lines. Floyd Vanway is staying very busy fixing the water lines, things of that nature. Even more, making it more glaring that we need a plan to address these issues in the next fiscal year. Mr. Floyd is working with the folks at Mead and Hunt to develop a scope of work that will provide us that plan moving forward to address our utility issues. With the downcoming of the hangars, general aviation hangars, we're now moving forward with the development of new hangars. The first piece in that is to get our utilities in the GA area placed such that after they do the pavement rehabilitation down there, they will not have to dig up the new pavement in order to put the utilities in for the new hangars that are going in. So the design is about complete. It will probably go to bid. The design of the pavement rehabilitation of the GA area is about complete. We'll go to bid probably in the April to May timeframe. And we'll move forward on that project. There'll be a lot more to hear about as we get closer to that, closer to actually executing that project. I'm thinking from a financial standpoint, we may have to do it in sections. We're just going to have to see what the bids are, and then we'll be able to make some decisions on phasing and how we're going to go about implementing that. I've also requested a design for a new ARF building to store all of our equipment in. I should be getting that scope of work within the next week or so. We've talked about the annual mid-year budget meeting. We've got 2 open positions right now, one being the Director of Operations and one for the Director of Planning. We've been interviewing for both those positions. We've got a couple of really good candidates, I think, for actually both positions that we'll be looking at, continuing to consider moving in the next couple of weeks. The Commercial Spaceflight Federation board meeting will be in 10 days, 2 weeks. I will not be attending with Matt being out, and our needs around here are much more pressing than my need to sit there at that board meeting. So Johannes Lossengig will be there in our stead. He's been given the power to vote on our behalf. GA10 meeting has been scheduled for February 28th. We'll have a barbecue. Right now it's looking like the last hangar that we potentially may have that we could do a barbecue in could potentially be filled. So we're looking at a couple other different locations that we will let you know of as soon as we come to a agreement on where it's going to be. One location is behind building 1. Another location is, where was the other location, man? I can't remember. Legacy Park. That's right, Legacy Park. So more to follow on that. I'll be getting those emails out as soon as those decisions are made. Please plan on attending. Love to have y'all. At the same time, we'll be having an industrial aerospace tenant meeting on March 2nd. That meeting, the purpose of that will be how to introduce and initiate the phasing for the Runway 1230 project, and explain to the folks that we've been awarded the funds. We have not received permission to spend funds. That will probably happen in the July timeframe. Also, we'll be going over the industrial aerospace tenants, the new scheduling protocols associated with use of Runway 1230, as well as the use or letting us know ahead of time when you're going to schedule operations for doing testing, so we can make sure we have people at appropriate levels of coverage. Consulting agreements, we've entered into an agreement with Aero Engineering and Geographic Data and Management Solutions. These are the folks who are doing our, they generate most of all of our exhibits for our leases
which are tied to coordinates and surveys, something that's very important. Those have been executed. We also did our insurance renewal at the tune of $39,068. And we've executed a access license with Galactic, with Virgin Galactic, that will run between January 26th and March 13th. They will be training some people on how to develop composites, I believe. Is that right? Also, you have the check register here. As you will notice, one of the checks that has been written is for $120,000. That is to one of our tenants for their facility. That's all I have. I'm glad to answer any questions.
Could we use that facility for the barbecue?
I will tell you. No, I won't tell you.
Maybe that's just too sensitive.
Okay, for full disclosure, that was considered.
Okay.
And I didn't know if that'd be pouring salt in the wound. So
I mean, it's, yeah. But it's like
a park.
Yeah.
So, but yeah,
I get it.
So to clarify, though, I'm seeking a little bit more information on the conflict with Virgin Orbit's operation and Scada launch. The Virgin Orbit didn't actually begin hazardous ops. Yeah, it didn't actually happen. It was just they were seeking a waiver. The waiver didn't come through, and therefore they did not. So almost like
what
this,
happened
but it
was
didn't happen.
Strato had to scrub anyhow, so it was not an issue, and so there was no non-compliance. The email that I received said the potential for non-compliance.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
We've had a lot of recent after-hours rocket firings, night firings.
Yes, sir.
After 5.
Yes, sir.
Basically normal business hours. Are they typically requesting ARP support?
Actually,
are they paying overtime, and is that standard for that tenant, or is it their option? Do we have any obligation to support after hours? I know,
so we have no obligation,
right?
And
I didn't mean obligation, maybe expectation. So, for instance, either our insurance or their insurance assumes when they buy insurance, they say, and the airport has this kind of infrastructure and ARP capabilities, and then everyone goes home and they shoot a rocket at test at night. And then, is there anything that's in the gray area?
We have discussed that, and that is literally in the gray area. From a funding standpoint, a majority of the test site operators do not have an issue with paying us the overtime that's required to do it. The ones that do have an issue with it, I'm going to work with them as much as possible. And what I mean by that is from a scheduling standpoint, but I can't give something to one operator without giving it to another. So I'm afraid it's going to have to come out of the fact that we're going to have to have some level of compromise with the operators to come to a happy medium as far as relates to operations. I had a situation 2 Fridays ago where we had an operator that let us know that Friday afternoon, they wanted to do a test very late Friday night. And then they realized they were not going to be able to get it off Friday night and wanted to schedule it for Saturday. And so we were moving forward with arranging coverage for that operation. Got everything arranged, and then they canceled. Sure. And so that's the kind of there's several little challenges right there that we're trying to work through. And I guess I apologize. Probably the short answer to your question is we're trying to work through each one of these challenges as they come up.
That is the unfortunate reality of tests, though, is sometimes there's reasons totally out of their control as well, where they need to cancel.
That's right. But, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Now,
is there a cutoff time where we bill them regardless? Like, is there do we have a policy of how short a notice we can? They say stay late, no, we're canceling. You know,
Officially, there's nothing official. What we're considering is they will, if they cancel, they will be billed for half the time that they were kind of set up for.
Right.
Any other questions? Those are all good points. Thank you. Sure.
Good question.
All right. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Todd. So we have one board committee. We have a subcommittee for branding and logo for Mojave Air and Spaceport at Ratan Field. Director Morgan, Director Coleman, how's it going?
Chuck and I have not met yet, but I have contacted a couple of local artists and tenants on the airport to brainstorm some ideas, and then Chuck and I are going to get together and work with them.
I've also had contacts with people that,
So slow rolling so far, but we got some things in the mix.
Is there any deadline that would be proposed, or just work on it?
Not unless you want one in post. If there's a stake in the sand you'd like to set up, but
Well, I think it, and I know what you guys are, it needs to be kind of timely.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
are we talking 6 months? Are we talking another month? I'd like to,
No, I think we're going to work quickly.
yeah.
If you'd like some additional input, let me know. I'm very familiar. I've worked very closely with a company called Davis and Barney, who specializes in aviation branding. If you would like that information, I'll be glad to put you all together.
Okay, thanks.
first let us know how we can help. Okay, thank you. Anybody on the board have anything not on the agenda that they wanted to discuss?
Yeah, I heard some good news the other day. We had this conversation recently with some people that wanted to build some apartments on the airport. I was told that the Elite Hotel, which is the corner of K and Inyo, that has been sold. That was an old hotel with 12 rooms. Somebody bought that with the idea of making housing available for people who live on the airport and come in temporarily, and also at the mine and Borax and every place else. They want to take it down to 6 larger rooms. But we'll just kind of keep an eye on that. It sounds like a good idea to me.
Yeah, do you know if they've reached out to any of the tenants at all to make them know it's going to be available? Or
I told you what I heard.
Mm-hmm.
Heard it on the street. So keep it posted.
Thanks for the word on the street, Bill.
Yeah, taking off to my doctor's appointment. Thank you. Good luck.
Hey, Bill.
See ya. Mm-hmm. Any other comments? Nope. Okay. What about from the public? Any comments for items not on the agenda? Is anybody over there? Nope. Okay, well, that concludes the public portion. If you want to go ahead and put anybody in the public who's dialed in into a waiting room, and we'll go into closed session.